Now, what began as a call for political freedom 35 years ago quickly evolved into a turning point in the nation's history. Tear gas, bullets, arrests, and repression met the cries for change, but the resolve of people yearning for justice endured. Gutu Rosa with more.
It began as a whisper, then a march, then tear gas and arrests. On the 7th day of the 7th month in 1990, Kenyans dared to speak their truth to power. "35 years later, memories of Saba Saba stand as an annual memorial, both as a monument of freedom and a mirror of Kenya's long journey to democracy. As the new generation, backed by those that preceded them, goes to create its own footprint in Kenya's history, Saba Saba is another call to action. It is the fuel and the knowledge that these young people acquired in classrooms and whispered conversations. One thing that stands out is that Saba Saba will always be a day that will be held as one of the events that shaped this nation's collective identity. My name is Gutu Rosa. Wanyiri Kihoro is now in his 60s. He was among the young lawyers who marched for multi-party democracy in 1990. He is now based in his rural Nyeri home. So, was it worth it?
I think it was worth it, not only in terms of democracy. It was very important in terms of control of events in this country. It was very important in terms of controlling those people who are in power. They had become so used to have a kind of system, a kind of administration that knew everything when they did not. And many of us had to fall into line. But I think the event was important in terms of ground democracy.
Before being detained after the Saba Saba demonstrations, he had done some time in jail.
I was detained in 1986. So I had stayed in detention 3 years. So by the time 1990 came, Saba Saba, and my very good friend then Kenneth Matiba, Charles Rubia, and many others had come out, had rejected the kind of tyrannical regime that had been established in Kenya. Saba Saba, when it started, it was taken up by the people. There are the people who took to the streets. There are the people who said this cannot continue. We have rejected one-party state. We want a multi-party democracy in this country. Section 2A of the Constitution in 1982, we rejected, and now they said we want a new constitution, we want a new era, and that led now into the new Kenya on Saba Saba, which is, it was very important, and I still see the echo of Saba Saba 35 years down the line.
Politician Martha Karua was also a young lawyer in her early 30s during those Saba Saba demonstrations. However, on Saba Saba Day, Karua and other women did not go to Kamukunji, not because they did not care, but because as women, there were other hidden fears.
I personally did not go to Kamukunji because we were fearing of violation of bodily integrity, because if you're arrested and detained at the police station, anything could happen to you. So that day, I ran errands, making statements following up on the people who were arrested, because Kamkunji was very short-lived. The fear was expressed in the way of using caution when doing things. Like even today, I would not want the politics that people do at night. Throughout my political career, I've never done. Because the night has its own demons and people are bolder doing bad things under the cover of darkness.
Not all those who were arrested were detained in Nairobi.
They behaved like apartheid South Africa, and they returned them to their rural homes. You know, in South Africa, they used to take them to the rural ethnic homes of your ethnic group called Bantustans. Shamala was taken to Kakamega. Simple reason is Aluhia. Imanyara, Meru. Muite, Kiambu, not Nairobi, Kiambu. At least I was able to follow up Muite because Kiambu court is near. So we were busy calling colleague lawyers. In the stations, our colleagues had been taken. Orengo was taken to Siaya. So we were calling colleague lawyers in those stations to appear the next day for the lawyers and politicians who had been taken to their homes. Shikuku was also taken to Kakamega, Bamaris, Mombasa. So it was like that.
Were their demands met?
Moi was a true professor of politics because he would feel the pulse of the nation. To calm the nation, he got Saitoti to chair a committee to go around the country and find out whether people want multi-party. That committee was told everywhere people want multi-party. So KANU comes and holds a National Delegates Convention where they refuse to endorse multi-partyism. But I think Moi had consulted, including with people outside the country, and he had decided it was time because otherwise the tide was too strong. So he reversed the National Delegates Conference and told them to rethink.
However, whenever conversations about Saba Saba happen, women and their contribution are rarely mentioned.
Where are we ever mentioned? When they talk about the young Turks, occasionally a person may mention Karua was there. But the young Turks became synonymous with young boys. It became a boys' club. There were many women in the struggle. In fact, a friend of mine is waiting for me in the office. We were in the struggle together, Beatrice Duta. In the treason case, she was representing one of the ladies, the sister to Rumba Kenothia, while I was representing Miroge Karaoke. In the activism within the Law Society, we were together. There were also young lawyers then, like Martha Kome, who is my junior.
Apart from the women lawyers, female politicians from diverse backgrounds were also involved.